On this episode of the podcast, we sit down once again with the one, the only old Greg, our father, charter captain, wizard, storm petrel, whatever you want to call him. We sit down for another session of questions submitted by you guys, our listeners, and it's on par with the rest of the OG episodes. A lot of laughs, off-color jokes, just a lot of fun, and a lot of good knowledge shared. So without further ado, please welcome to the podcast again, Captain OG, old Greg Sears. Welcome to the SeaBros Fishing Podcast, where we follow 3 words of wisdom. You can't catch them if you don't have a hook in the water. Always trust your instincts. And the last, you'll just have to keep listening. Stay tight.
Am I coming off or what? Get that down. Don't get on that.
How do we sound? Fantastic.
Test 1, 2. Buckle my shoe.
So we did an Instagram post asking people what they wanted to know about you.
You're like
I'm fighting a cold.
You're like the star.
The star?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the
Statistically and
Hold on a second. There's no introduction or anything
you
here?
already got introduced.
Introduced?
You'll have your own introduction.
You had your introduction already. Everyone knows who you are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Sears, and you're not.
I'm trying to figure out where we should start here.
Dude, this
I think the first question is a good start off because I'm sure we all just had something for breakfast. You just had a donut.
Boston cream.
Boston cream.
My favorite donut.
I just took a shit. I have not
Some of
heard
these are
these
very
questions,
simple.
so I can't.
He is
I
blind.
have no practice. Totally live here, so anything that comes out of my mouth, I apologize for it now. I'm not racist, but sometimes racist stuff comes out of my mouth. I've been told I will be blocked if I mention any races.
You've probably had not every single, but a lot of different races on the boat.
There were a lot of races in the Olympics this year. Downhill race.
All right. So we have 1,
Some of these are
3, 4,
totally
5,
random.
6, 7, 8.
They're all random, but
We have 12 questions for OG. Question 1 is, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably either Drake's cupcakes or devil dogs. Maybe Twinkies. The thing is, though, I'd want peanut butter for my Twinkies.
What is with the peanut butter on the Twinkies? When did
That is a weird
When did that
thing.
start? Is that a
When I was
childhood
like
thing?
13, I had a
Here we go.
German Shepherd.
oh my god.
So just randomly, he knocked my Twinkie into the peanut butter, and I started.
Randomly.
Yeah. So I started putting peanut butter on my Twinkies.
Holy shit. That question was from Ben. Ben, there's your answer.
Twinkies with peanut butter.
Twinkies
I would have
with
never
peanut
guessed
butter.
that.
That's 2 items, though.
I mean, you can come.
Surprised they don't make peanut butter Twinkies, to tell you the truth.
They're that good, huh? I need to try this.
They make
It sounds pretty
they
wild.
make funny bones. They got peanut butter in them, but they're covered with chocolate. So they're kind of,
Funny.
The messed up part is we had a German Shepherd growing up.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm like, you sure he wasn't 33 and not 13? Like, was I there when that happened? Holy shit.
moving on.
Moving on. This one's from Anthony. What is the weirdest thing you've encountered on or near Stellwagen Bank?
Excuse me. The weirdest thing.
And if you don't know the answer, we can come back to stuff.
I don't know. I've had so many pretty amazing things happen. I'm trying to think weird. There's been some really weird conversations on the boat. One guy asked randomly
This is going off in a tangent.
randomly out of nowhere, he asked, they're having a conversation, he says, you ever wonder what it'd be like to have a vagina with a dick in it? And it's like, where are you coming from, buddy?
And how long has he been thinking about that?
I don't know. It came out of nowhere. Like, I got nervous. I went on the roof.
What about like aquatic encounters that like
Weird whale things. Dolphins, seals.
I have a secondhand
sharks.
story of yours that was pretty crazy. What about the swordfish with Bobby D?
Yeah, that was a unique situation. We had a swordfish coming swimming down our shark slick.
No.
And we didn't know what it was. We looking
Assumed
at
it was
this
a shark.
fin coming down and thinking it's a shark, but it looked like a pointy stick. And it's like, was weird. And both of me and Bobby D at the same time came up with, that looks like a swordfish. And we bumped the boat over, and lo and behold, it was like 450-pound swordfish just swimming on the surface. I threw a harpoon at it and missed it from like 3 feet away. And luckily we did, though, because when Bobby passed me the harpoon, the outrigger was, he passed it through the outrigger lines.
So it's like between the halyard and the...
It was right between all the outrigger lines, so if it went off, it would have grabbed the outrigger.
Oh, my God. How big was the thing, do you think?
I'd say 400 probably be a good guess. Thing was probably 12 feet long anyway.
Jesus Christ.
And
With the bill.
I just barely scraped it with the harpoon when I threw it, and it took off like a bat out of hell.
Was it like one of those August calm shark days?
Absolute flat, calm, hot seaweed flies all over the boat.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
But that was wild.
But I don't know if that was the weirdest thing, though. I'm thinking more of like the weird things that happen
I know you are.
in the boat.
There's like two ends of the spectrum. There's like weird stuff with customers, and there's like weird interactions on the ocean with
How about
fish and mammals.
whales and stuff?
Probably like the most common weird thing that everybody laughs at me about is scrubbing the mola molas with a scrub brush. Like you stick a scrub brush in the water when they're near the boat, and they come over right up to it like they want to be scrubbed. You try scrubbing them, and they try, but they're like so buoyant, you push them away when you scrub them, so they have trouble staying next to the boat.
They like their scars scrubbed.
Yeah, that's actually some kind of a fungusy thing that grows on them that looks like a scar.
Interesting.
I don't know what it's called, but I know it's like, it always looks like it's like a boat propeller scar or something, but it's most of those blotches you see are like a fungus they get on them.
Interesting.
Kind of, we get funguses like when we get old too.
Yeah. You said your fungus is cut off.
Yeah. My barnacles.
Your barnacles.
That's what my granddaughter calls them. Grandpa's got barnacles.
That's a perfect name for it. What's your least favorite thing about tuna fishing? I can think of a handful of things.
Well, obviously waiting for a tuna,
Yeah.
but yet that's anticipation, so it's really not. Still exciting. I'm excited the whole time waiting for the tuna to bite. When people don't listen to me.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Cold, nasty, rough weather with a big tuna on. It's like heart in your throat, soaking wet, shivering, freezing.
Your butthole's puckered the whole time.
It's like you guys have heard me. You know, the famous words are, "I'm all done with this fish."
I'm all done with this fucking shit. Has been said many times.
And you go in the cabin, lock yourself in.
He's like a cat.
He is.
He is. Somehow he doesn't get wet.
I don't know. He's been wet a few times the
That
past few
South Shore
years.
Tuna Tournament jacket is more waterproof than it leads on to be. I'll tell you that much.
Those are good jackets, actually.
They are going hanging in there.
And you guys all, because I still wear a BC High ski team jacket, but they're the same jacket, and they're like nicely lined. And if we weren't so freaking cheap, that's what we'd get for us. But
Yeah, they're a little bit too much money for haddock poop.
No.
You know? We paused this episode for a quick announcement for one of our good friends and fellow charter captains, Jesse Martello. Jesse's son, Jesse Jr., was recently diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia called T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And while the outlook for Jesse is optimistic, the battle is just beginning. The doctor's initial prognosis indicates that Jesse Jr. is in for a fight that could last 3 years with chemotherapy and many hospital visits during what should be the prime years of his youth. And Jesse's an avid fisherman. He mates regularly for his dad and their charter business, Think Big Charters, aboard their boat Necessary Expense. They fish from Connecticut to the Northeast Canyons. They tuna fish. They're a part of our community, and they're great people. Jesse Jr. also enjoys playing soccer, basketball, lacrosse. He races go-karts. He skis. He snowmobiles. It's really sad that he has to deal with this at this point in his life. But we're here to support Jesse, and we're hoping that you all can take a moment and help support him as well. Right now, Jesse's family faces uncertainty with medical costs and other financial burdens associated with treating this disease. And to help ease the burden, there's been a website that's been set up to help facilitate fundraising efforts and help aid Jesse Jr.'s family and the entire Martello family with expenses that they're going to face during this battle. So if you take a moment and visit thinkbigjesse.com, that's thinkbigjesse.com. Starting on February 15th, there's going to be a series of raffles and auctions for some really great items and some charters. Penn and Real Easy Custom Rods, they're donating reels, rods. There's many other sponsors and supporters on there, many of which have sponsored and supported the podcast as well. And we just hope you take a moment to go on the website and support a great cause for a great kid. So again, visit thinkbigjesse.com and feel free to donate and participate in any of the raffles and the silent auctions. What do you want to ask? Are you awake?
Yeah, I'm like still battling this cold. I kind of want to go off the weirdest things he's ever seen.
Go back to it.
What's the weirdest person that's ever come on the boat in the morning? So I say weirdest interaction in the morning.
That's actually kind of one of the questions.
Is it?
Yeah, let's morph that into this question. So what's the worst reaction and the best reaction you've got from telling one of your jokes?
You don't have to say the joke.
Well, I'm, anti-politicalist, whatever you want to call it. Just do my own thing, say my own words. But I always test people in the morning to try to see where I'm going. So I don't know. Probably I'm going to call the worst reaction is someone who just wants to beat the dead horse into the ground. Like one time I started talking religion with a Palestinian guy, and I'm not religious, but I just had questions, and then I had my answers to the questions. And,
Dude, that was probably the worst charter of my life. Honestly.
the guy, they were nice and everything.
Nicest
people. Great people, but he's really trying to...
He was trying to convert us.
Pretty much telling me I was going to hell.
Yep.
And
that was the most bizarre day.
So just I went with it.
You're in the bay.
Yeah.
And
so you really think you're going to hell?
We're in Wood End with live bluefish with a nice group of Palestinians trying to basically make us super religious and tell us we still have some time.
Well, it wasn't really that
life.
they were trying to make us. It's because they would ask some question about what religion we were or whatever, and they were Muslim.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, we never went to church much when I was a kid. When somebody died, or that was about it. And I asked what the difference between Muslim, Jewish, Christian, like what is the difference? Because I hear you guys believe in God or Allah or whatever, and the Jewish believe in God and Christians believe in God, and like what makes the difference to the point where people would have wars over it?
Yeah.
And then
That's a great question.
that was like
That opened up a can of worms.
Yeah, he had to explain everything about it,
Yeah.
which was a good lesson.
It was all like very normal conversation, but the grandfather was so super religious. He was getting like angry when he talked.
Yeah,
He was like
trying to prove
pissed.
his point.
Passionate.
very passionate. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know if passionate. He was like angry at life.
Oh, God.
And I was in the corner like just trying to keep my bluefish from not tangling. And then,
You're angry at life,
Dude.
and bluefish.
He's like, he started asking me questions like, "What do you think of this? And what do you think of that?" I'm like, "I think we're gonna get a bite in like the next 10 minutes." I'm like, I'm not thinking about all these other things right now of like making sure I go to heaven instead of hell. I'm like, I want this bluefish to get fucking smoked by a tuna right now, so I can go home.
Exactly.
But anyway, back to that question, like the worst reaction is the reaction where someone just doesn't want to let
Something
it go,
go.
all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I am who I am. I apologize for it, but it's like I said, I was nothing demeaning about what I was having a conversation with him about or anything. I was curious. I meet so many people, just get curious about it. So, I still tell religious jokes and everything.
Sorry.
I remember that you guys.
Yeah, that was awful. And he pulled up. You're like, "Can I get a few bluefish?" I'm like, "Can you take me with you?" I got to the point that like there's not many charters that I can't talk to just about anything, and I got to the point that I just couldn't even talk anymore. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Move on.
That's tough. It's tough when you run out of things to say or the motivation to talk.
The whole day was about
the best
their
reactions. That was worst reaction out of the people that happens.
Yeah.
But we all have that shit in our life. We got friggin' parking. Not parking, but road rage. You know what I mean? Like people get road rage instantaneously. But the best reactions are from like, I'll crack some joke or, call somebody, pick on somebody first thing in the morning. And then they like it, like they laugh and can take it. And then you find out sometime during the middle of the day that this person's a billionaire or like a bigwig in some giant company, and you're like, wow, just don't expect that.
Yeah.
Those kind of people can take that. Usually, like snotty-nosed bigwig people, like can't take any kind of jokes, But so I always like it when someone who's down to earth, that's has some special job or full of money or whatever,
Yeah. It's fun to be that pressure relief valve for those like senior leader type people in big corporate America. Like all of a sudden they show up and you're instantly cut them down to your level.
Yeah, we
like,
don't kiss anybody's ass no matter who they are. Everywhere from the garbage guy to the vice premier of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Everybody gets treated the same.
President.
Vice president.
No, they don't have a president. They have a premier or something like that.
We're gonna have to Google this.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
gonna be a side. I'll look it up. Don't ask Google right now.
OG is famous for the voice asking of Google everything on his phone.
It comes up. That thing's smart as hell. It's gonna take over the world.
Yeah, legit.
Speaking of which, does anybody know how to change the English accent off your phone?
On an Android. One of the 9 Android users out there. Can you help out, OG?
What country was it again?
New Zealand. Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
That sounds
Premier
more correct.
president. He was close. He just made it, like you said, his own word.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, let me look at the other one.
I do look forward to the first ball busting joke of the morning, though. I'm usually not the person that says it because I'm way too high octane serious, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I always am waiting to hear what joke you're gonna lead the day with, and whether I'm like, this is good or this is gonna be bad.
I like usually like if it's something obvious, I'll pick on you first thing in the morning. Like one time, this guy had a big goiter on his neck, and I was like, "What's with the goiter?" He was fun. Couldn't look at him, but he was fun.
Didn't you have a guy with half a head?
Mo.
How did Flip become Flip?
Because he whacked.
Yeah, we were talking in the cabin.
He had no hair, and he's flipping like
about
he's
something,
flipping his
and-
bangs out of his
he's
eye.
and Flip starts talking, and then he just goes like this. And my dad and I look at each other and we're like, "What just happened?" And everyone in his whole group was like, "Did he just flip? Like he just flipped nothing? He has no hair, but he's trying to flip his hair."
He's not like bald. He just has short hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he was trying to flip nothing, so his nickname is now Flip.
Flip is the for those of you that follow Mass Bay Guides on Instagram, we posted a bite several weeks ago where he tells the bait to do its fucking job.
Yeah.
And then he turns around, the down rod goes off. That's Flip.
Yep.
Oh man, that's funny. What got you into tuna fishing? From Paul.
Excuse me. What got me into tuna fishing?
Yeah. Tuna fishing specifically, because I think we talked about
Started with fishing for pumpkin seeds and white bass in the pond across the street from my house. And then probably the first saltwater fishing was, with my grandfather and stuff. When I was younger, a couple of famous fishermen from around the area, Stu Apt and Bill Nolan, used to fish for salty trout behind my house in the creek. And I was probably like 4 or 5, used to follow them around. They actually got me my first fishing rod because other than that, we used hand lines,
spindle hand lines.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just got into fishing. I think it's the anticipation. It's like if you're a golfer, you just keep trying until you get that hole in one. Fishing is the same thing. To get the big one, or
Yeah.
So I mean, even as like a little kid, I'd go down the basement and make funky lures and tie flies and make spinners and things like that. And, just a graduation process to get into tuna fishing. Luckily, we live in an area where tuna fishing's one of the better places in the world to catch bluefin.
And it's close.
Yeah, and close to shore. And when I was a teenager, I used to fish with one of my father-in-law's buddies before he was my father-in-law, and we fished all hand line, caught a few fish. Then I went in the Coast Guard, and then when I got out of the Coast Guard, it was back here and started fishing again. And kind of affordability levels got me back into tuna fishing. And when we, Taylor was young, you were young, when I was like really starting to get into it, other than going with other people, but started getting into it on my own when you guys were little. And we started with, Troll 113 around,
113s graduated to
the Black Beauties.
6-0 Senators. Which
I can't believe some of the fish we caught on those reels.
I can't either.
Like, we were trolling 13-inch squid bars with 114.
We had them spooled decently, though. They like braid on them and stuff.
Crazy.
But yeah, we started with yard sale equipment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people now are, because of internet and social media and everything, are just able to jump into it like almost too fast.
I agree.
Instead of like slowly morphing into tuna fishing. And it is what it is.
You don't learn anything better than learning it for yourself either.
Yeah.
As much as you can say that, I learned something from somebody, yeah, I've learned a bunch of things, but to put the whole package together, it's all about what I chose to learn and put the package together. So
it also helps create kind of independence on the water too, like figuring it out on your, at least some things on your own.
Yelled at a few commercial guys. You gotta, learn the respects, learn the tricks, learn, the waters, the conditions. It's as much as we'd like to be able to teach somebody in a one-day class of, but I know we help by steering people in the right direction so they start thinking about some things. That's why I said there's people that have taught me stuff, but it's like one thing here, one thing there, and then I put that package together,
I think that's
observation.
Yeah.
It's people drive around out there absolutely clueless and blind, where one of us is sitting on the roof all the time, looking around, seeing what's around,
Looking at all the signs.
Yeah, looking for the animal life. And
I got a good one that can tie into this. Someone that's starting their first season tuna fishing. What's some advice, some pointers for them starting their season?
Do your homework. It's really, like I said, there's not one point that I can tell you other than think about being prepared, what you need to actually fish. Or otherwise, don't spend the money on gear you don't know if you need or not, and spend it on doing a couple of charters and getting experience that way,
Yeah.
A lot of people do that,
Yeah, a lot of people spend a lot of money on stuff they don't need.
Yep.
Instead of spending money on trying to get the experience first.
But if it's going to be your first season, be prepared. Make sure you know what permits you're involved with.
I'll take that.
Have all your paperwork.
Distracting you. Making little weird noises.
That's still some in there. Give it
All
to me.
right, swig it up.
Stroking my coffee.
trying to think of other things. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Listen to any fishing podcast or literally watch as much fishing stuff as you possibly can. And it's pretty much all relatable to tuna fishing. It's just a larger scale.
Yeah.
You know?
I think being humble is probably one of the biggest things I would say as advice for your first year is understand that you're not going to be, most likely not going to be very successful your first year. You know, you need to spend a lot of time in the water to kind of figure out like a pattern and what works for you and the people that are out there and
to lose
fish.
And figure out what you're doing wrong.
Yep. And you got to spend a bunch of money on things that you, at the end of the day, aren't going to need, and vice versa. You're not going to spend money on the things that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think going into it thinking that you're just going to start tuna fishing and just catch a bunch of fish and be successful is kind of a dream, to be honest with you.
It's unrealistic. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. You'll definitely get bites and hook them, but it's, you know, landing them consistently and doing all the right things. That's where you have to be humble to the fish, understand that they're going to win, you know, probably close to 50% of the time.
Not trying to discourage you, trying to encourage you to go out and try whatever you want to try.
Right.
Whatever you got. Affordability is a lot, but just be safe doing it and be conscientious of the guys that are out there already doing it, you know. It's like anything, you know, you're bass fishing on the pond and, you know, you don't come up 20 feet from another guy and start casting right in the same place that he's been fishing. Just that kind of respect. You know, there's a lot of guys that say to you, you know, commercial guys, recreational guys, that'll come up and be like, you don't own the ocean. So they, you know, just don't want to respect the distance from you, you know. It's like, you're right, we don't own the ocean. So if you're going to persist to sit here, then I'm going to have to go move, you know. So, but that's the way they look at it. You know?
For me personally, because we've all been in this situation, when someone says that to me and they're clearly in the wrong, the thing that pisses me off the most about it is disrespecting the time that went into you being in that spot first. Like, it's not even like the proximity to me. It's like, I woke up 2 hours earlier than you. You're
talking for the day, right? You're not talking about
correct
in general. Like,
correct. Like for the day.
We're not fishing spots that people already haven't
talking about
fished.
for the day.
Right. For
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah. Like, to me, it's like, I don't really care if you're close. When you say something like that, it's like,
Yeah.
That's frustrating to me.
Yep.
What other new tuna fishing tips? Charters, like Dad said, I think is really, really important, especially if you want to shorten the learning curve.
Yeah. I think determining your goals too. You know, a lot of people, they want to be able to catch a small fish and kill it, and they want to be able to sell a giant, and they want to just be able to do it all. But I think if you take a step back and kind of concentrate on one thing to start for your first year, you know, are you going to get into are you going to live bait fish right off the bat, or do you want to troll right off the bat? Like, to go out for the day and to try like 10 different things, you're most likely not going to be successful changing up a million times. But going out with like a game plan and going, okay, I'm going to, you know, live bait fish, you know, all day or all week or all summer and get good at that, and then, you know, move on to something else. I think going out just with spreader bars and live bait leaders and
50s and 20s
like
and
all different size reels.
It's the worst approach.
Yeah, I think you're just gonna turn into a confusing mess.
Yeah, I agree. And we start looking back at when we started, like, we progressed that way.
Yeah,
but it was also dependent on.
But you started with like striped bass.
Freshwater to striped bass.
Got yourself to the point where you were really good at catching striped bass.
Yeah.
And moved up to the next level.
And the next level at the time just happened to be small tunas because we had a lot of them around too.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't always get to pick and choose that because it depends on what we see on the bank wherever you're fishing. But progressing size wise too, I think is important because you'll learn just as much about fighting a 50-inch fish as you will fighting a 100-inch fish, especially if you have your tackle matched appropriately.
Size to it.
You know. While we're on this topic, and we just talked about striped bass, what is your go-to knot? I'm just going to say, what is your go-to knot?
My go-to knot.
Someone asked, what is your go-to knot for live lining striped bass? And what is your go-to knot for lures?
It's probably the same thing.
The uni knot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
We all like different knots, actually.
You're a Palomar guy.
I'm a Palomar guy.
I'm an improved clinch knot guy.
that's pretty much what I do is the improved clinch knot.
Yeah.
Dropper loops we use a lot.
The one, what's it called?
Striped bass, I don't feel like
And you
get
bend
that
the
fancy.
line.
Palomar.
No. Line to line knot.
Oh,
Albright.
Albright.
The Alberto knot, which is the one we
Use
use.
the Albright a
double
lot.
Albright.
Like going leaders to line.
Wire to mono and wire to Dacron backing for snapping wire. We don't use that many knots.
No, I mean, for me, I use probably 2 for striper fishing. It's just the improved clinch knot and the double Albright or Alberto knot going from braid to a leader.
If you can't tie a good one, tie a lot of them.
That's right.
I like snelling too when that comes to bass fishing.
Yeah.
You know, we snell the hooks. I don't just
Anything that has
tie,
a bent
you know.
a bent eye.
Yeah,
we snell.
snell. I can run through them. We use Palomars, we use Albertos, we use uni to unis for repairing braid, or in a pinch, you know, we get hung up in something and need to cut and retie. Regular Albright knot. We don't really use biminis all that much anymore. None of our tackle requires it really.
My true go-to knot, though, the question was go-to knot. When bass fishing, when things get hot, the go-to knot for me is when the mate tied up and I grab that rod and fish that rod.
I was gonna lead into it with a joke like that. Like, do you even remember how to tie knots? But he does. He whips them out like he's been doing
He
it.
needs his magnifying glass.
Yeah, he does need his magnifying glass.
You know the dog's out.
Yeah, Claire's with him. But we crimp a lot. Tuna fishing wise.
Yeah, heavy, anything above 80 pounds, it's crimped. Mm-hmm. You know, everything below that depends on how thick the line is and what I'm tying it for. But generally, those 4 or 5 knots will do everything for you.
My opinion, it's the fastest, strongest knot you can tie that you're comfortable tying is what you should use.
Yeah, I mean, bass don't get
Granny.
that much pressure to.
Double granny. Double granny with a half hitch.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've seen squid bars things like that.
I think where knots come into play with bass fishing the most are actually high current situations. So like fishing the canal and fishing places that you have a ripping tide where you don't necessarily need the drag to stop the fish, but you just need the drag to actually reel the fish in the current with the thing's mouth open. I think that's where like that strength of knot matters. But as far as like reeling in a striper, you know, they don't require much drag pressure at the end of the day. So I don't think there's one better.
It's all relative to the size tackle you use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go into, we can ask the Peter Akins one. What's the biggest bluefin that you've been a part of reeling in, and the biggest bluefin that you've captained the boat for?
Basically, your biggest tuna
That you can remember.
Well,
And
Does that mean we got the fish?
Yeah, you got the fish up alongside.
The biggest ones ever got away. Every one of them.
How many fish?
But Canada, we had one we released that they estimated around 1,200 pounds.
Yep.
But I know how that goes when I tell my charters that's a 1,200 pounder too. So I'm going to say, let's call it 1,000 pounds.
That you've actually fought
and caught.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you've had a few heartbreakers. One of them was last year.
And a lot of them too, like even the 1,000 pounders were like 1,000 pounds, but we'd already like bled them and gutted them and things like that.
Yeah.
Like we're like 950 or whatever.
Right.
So really don't know. But,
Yeah, you don't know what their full weight was.
But I'm gonna say that I lost one last year that right to the boat. I'm gonna say was well over 1,000 pounds, like 1,200 pounder easy.
Yeah.
And we got one up in Canada one time that was
Same.
alongside the boat. We could have killed it, no problem.
Yeah.
But to have the actual weight of it.
Call it a G-bomb. Yeah, it has
Right.
to be hung.
We've released a few absolutely humongous fish too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we just don't know.
And then I've had fights with fish that never saw the damn thing and just know that it was
Too big.
monsters.
Too large.
Yeah.
Uncatchable.
Yeah.
One big one funny big one was the guapo fish when he got stuck
He
underneath
actually
the
told that
table.
story.
He did tell that story.
Taylor and I had a good show last year or the year before. Just the two of us on a big one that took 2 dart baskets full of line. And
Didn't you break him off too on the rod?
yeah.
Well,
we
he
broke
came
them
up and did like the fish made a mistake and like his back came out of the water like freaking 20 feet behind the boat, like far. And for some reason, I just launched the harpoon and I stuck him like right in the dorsal fin. And then I did like 2 pinwheels and I thought he was just going to pinwheel up with the dart in him. And then we pulled the hook and he took out like 450 feet of a 500-foot basket. And then we were backing down on him with just the dart line. And then we stuck him again and pretty much the thing was croaked at the boat. But
we fought him on 2 dart lines for a while
maybe for some pinwheels and stuff.
because that was
It was one of those ones that I really wish we got on film, and obviously we didn't.
It's hard when you have 2 people.
Oh,
it took
dude.
us 3 hours catching it.
Yeah.
Then we had to get it in the boat, and it was like pretty much too big for just the 2 of us. No, that was, I don't remember what that one weighed, but
It wasn't humongous. It was like,
775.
yeah, it was right around 800 pounds.
Remember I talked to you guys the next day and you both still sounded tired.
Dude, it was like, at one point, the fish had the whole dart basket out. And I remember looking at him, and I fought the fish the whole time on the rod. And it was like 2.5 hours on the rod. And when we pulled the hook and it just has the whole dart basket out, he's like, just fucking stop it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm holding like a good amount of pressure, but I felt comfortable.
What do you mean by that?
And he's like, no, like, double wrap it and stop it. We're either gonna pull him or we're not. And I'm like, all right, freaking just double wrapped. And I held and it just
Held the dart line?
held the dart
While we
line
backed
while
up
we were
on it.
backing up, and I just didn't let him go, and I could just feel him kicking, and we were backing up like water,
Like marlin chasing.
yeah,
Sick.
backing up, holding the dart line, and for some reason the fish decided to stay on the surface and just didn't go down. We were out in like 200 feet of water off the east. If we hooked
actually
up on
got
the
the-
west side and went
We
to
got
the
the
east side of
second dart in it. Well, it was black
Backing
back.
down.
And we were backing down like we were chasing a marlin.
yeah.
That's when we got the second one. Then we fought it for a while on that. The lines all tangled up, and
I don't know. It was a blur. I blacked out.
I think one of the baskets because it got a big knot in it or something.
I don't remember that. That might have been another one. Well, we had the double darter at the end of the year last
That
year.
one was fucking nuts.
We had a fish in the bay that ate and swam like. Honestly, we were on him. It was a 95-inch fish, and he came up in like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And it was like, oh god, it's a tuna.
Yeah.
Thought it was a shark. Fish is swimming next to the boat. Brian darted it. Like, it went like through its
Not
forehead.
great.
Went like through its forehead. Dumped the dart basket. Came up in like 3 minutes again. He threw the dart at it. Didn't have the dart attached to the line.
The pole attached to the
Pole. So we lost the dart. Like a total schmeeb. But it was hilarious.
The most miraculous thing in that whole fish was I was like running around like reorganizing the cockpit, and you and Bill were dealing with the 2 dart baskets. Correct me.
After we had him.
Correct. After we had them, we're swimming them and stuff, or we were like, I was getting the swim hook ready to swim them.
Yeah.
Like we were dragging them backwards.
And Bill and I were
turned around,
untangling the basket.
Yeah, and I turned around like within a minute. And what was absolute disaster. Like
the whole back of the
both
boat
dart
was
baskets
full
were
line.
completely splayed out in the cockpit. And I did like a couple laps around the box, grabbing stuff. And I turn and look, and Bill and Taylor are sitting there, and everything is coiled in the baskets. It never once got tangled.
Yeah,
we
wild.
kept up with it so good during the pinwheels, all 3 lines, that it all went back in the baskets perfectly.
I don't know.
It was pretty funny.
You want to ask the scary weather one? Or
Yeah. So other than the overboard Jeff Corwin story, scariest weather scenarios you've experienced on the water, either as a charter captain or in the Coast Guard?
Would have to be the Coast Guard. We got caught in a hurricane, tsunami, whatever you want to call it, up in the Bering Sea. Well, it depends on whether it's on the Pacific, the eastern side or western
one side they call it one thing.
So anyway, but it was a big hurricane. I was on an icebreaker that was basically a round boat, and they said that we were in 65-foot seas was the guess on the big seas that we were in.
Dude.
238-foot boat. So, you know, we were pretty much close to straight up and down when you're going up on these waves. And then we lost, our rudder broke. So the rudder was, it's welded onto a rudder shaft. And it's like one pipe inside another pipe welded together. But the welds broke, so the rudder was just like spinning on the shaft.
Picking
it
whatever
would catch
direction.
a little bit, and you could drive for a few minutes, and all of a sudden it would swing off to the other side, and then you wouldn't know which way to turn the wheel to get the rudder to like point in the right direction. Like it was way off with what the rudder indicator said. And we lost the crane off the boat, most of our electronics, and believe it or not, a Russian factory fishing boat, like trawler type boat. After the storm, it spit us out, dragged us into Russian waters, and then the Navy had to come out, and the Russian boat had to tow us out to the border. It wouldn't let the Navy boat come in. But we were all at an abandoned ship with our life jackets on deck level, like nobody was below decks other than engineers. Nobody was above decks other than...
So you're all on like the weather deck, main deck. Yeah.
And the only reason we didn't abandon ship was because we would have died. The water's so cold. It was the middle of winter. And I wasn't in control. So it's...
Oh, that's the worst.
It's like, pilots telling you you're going to crash.
And you can't drive the plane.
Yeah, you can't go try and stop it.
That's awful.
Oh, God.
But that was pretty crazy. I don't remember if we were beyond 45 degrees quite a few times on the roll. I think we were even like in maybe even the 60-degree level when it came with some of the rolls that we took. It took such a roll so big that the seats were on pipes, like sat over a pipe, like a bigger pipe over a smaller pipe, or like in the galley, in the rec room and stuff. And we took a couple rolls that all the seats slid off the pipes.
Holy shit.
So, I mean, you're working on upside down at that level,
Yeah.
When you're on that deck, too, and you're having Maytags go on in the windows, Maytags when you take a roll and the water comes up in the porthole. It looks like a Maytag washing machine. But that was happening. And then we ended up, that ended up taking up probably 8 months to a year of the ship's time, because we ended up in dry docks and Seattle for a long time, and probably a whole summer in Seattle in dry docks. And,
how did you get caught in it? Like, you just not know it was coming, or you're trying to go somewhere? Or...
It's one of those things, you're out doing your job. We used to chase around the crab fleet and do boardings on generally foreign boats that were in our waters. But you're only way up in the top of the Bering Sea. You're very close to Russian border and American border. And the storm came in, and we only did like 8 knots. So when the storm came in, the storm was actually blowing us, like sucking us into the storm and blowing us north.
Wow.
So like we lost the rudder. Mm-hmm. So we were basically just trying to surf the waves or head to the waves any way you could,
Yeah. That's wild.
But it just
do anything from going. It was like two, and that
it was like 3 days too. Like it would there was no towing going on any way anyhow for like 3 days. Again, so that's why they had plenty of time to find us.
Yeah.
But the American ships were one of them was trying to catch up to us, and we crossed the border into Russia. So they had to stop. We had no control, so we had to keep going. I'm sure the Russians were all freaked out because they thought we were a spy ship anyway. Yeah. I didn't find that out till later. Like, we all got unit accommodations for one of the patrols that we did, and we were like, what the hell did we do? And we found out that, like, they were using the ship to, like, intercept radio communications or something.
Interesting. Well, now we're going to get invaded.
Yeah.
Come on, Putin.
Yeah, exactly. There's 2 funny ones I'm saving for the end.
How about on a charter boat? What's the scariest?
Probably with Jonathan on the boat that we have now. The customers were from New York. And they were,
You chewing gum right now.
yeah.
That's all right.
Customers from
George is going to be like, that motherfucker.
George is our video editor.
So the customers were from New York, and they refused to believe that the weather was going to be bad. So we did a look-see in the morning. I took them out to the bell, and it was like 8 to 10s at the bell. And they were like adamant that they could go out in this stuff. And I was like, if I push the throttle this way and we go, you're paying for the day. Let's go. And that was pretty big, 15 to 20s. And we actually got out to cod fishing and started fishing. And one of the guys, they were all seasick. One guy says, when do we go home? I go, when we catch our limit. And Jonathan got thrown across the back deck, sitting behind the wheelhouse, up over the big square box, and landed in the corner of the back of the boat.
Really?
Like almost got thrown like out of the boat.
Jesus. That's too rough.
That's too rough, yeah. I'm all set.
Yeah.
He was a pussy. He had a little friggin' bruise.
What are some of the funniest, I'm just going to say it, the funniest, dumbest questions that charter clients ask?
One of my favorites, is this the way we're going? Like as we're driving in that direction. No.
I still love that one. Is this the way we're going? No, I'm just temporarily going this way.
All kinds of weird questions, though, sometimes. But that's just people trying to learn, you know.
Yeah.
You get people that, like, some of the most educated people have the most fucked up questions. Right? It's like, where are their minds at, you know? Like, people that invented the modem and, you know, rocket science and all that. And, like, just random, you know, questions like, are we going to catch fish today? Or
I love how everyone parks their boat in the same direction.
yeah, that was a good one. Coming in the harbor and the boats on the moorings are all pointed into the wind. And the lady says, oh, I love how everybody parks their boats in the same direction. I'm like, yep, yeah, the harbor master makes them do that.
Oh, God. We had a lady one time ask why the fish always swim the same direction under the boat.
Yeah, because she's looking at the fish finder going by. And like,
That's amazing.
is that the back of the boat or the front of the boat? It's on right down the middle. You know? And then, I don't know, had all kinds of like, I don't know.
The noodle question is is not the noodle question. Are you still excited to wake up in the morning?
Yeah,
Is
that's a noodle answer.
noodle answer.
One of my good Asian buddy friends, he asked that question, like, do I still get excited up in the morning?
To wake up and go fishing.
Wake up and go fishing. And I was like, yeah, don't you get excited to get up and go make noodles? You know, I don't know what's so funny about that. Turns out he's a cook.
Yeah, his response was, how do you know I cooked? Oh, it's funny. There's so many, it's just hard to think of them all right now. We're really good at answering them politely, though.
Yeah.
I like COVID because I got these neck breathers and like, hey, dude, freaking COVID 6 feet. That means outside the cabin.
Yeah, in some respects, it definitely helped.
Tell you what, it's bad on the center console
It is.
because it's like so easy to just sit right next to the.
Yeah, plus
Person running the
everybody's
boat.
trying to hide behind a 24-inch wide window.
The front seat, the forward seating with the bean bags, though,
It's
when it's
legit.
not like, rainy, gnarly, keeps them at bay.
Yeah.
And it's actually very
People rave
comfortable.
about that.
Yeah. You can see everything. But yeah, more dumb questions. We appreciate them.
One of the ones from, what are the last two, Bri?
Well, there's one more serious one, then there's two funny ones that I have.
Okay.
The serious one is, and you've been involved in fighting a few battles over this off season, one regarding mackerel and some other stuff. But what's your opinion on the health of the bluefin tuna fishery right now?
The fishing's been pretty consistent. I think, there's been a lot of factors eliminated that, as far as the types of fishing and stuff that was done that have helped a lot. But again, I've seen it go through cycles many times. In the last couple of years, we've had pretty much all big ones up here. So, time will tell, like, whether these, like, medium-sized Chatham fish move up into further north this year. We'll see, you know what I mean? But as far as I can see in the last, 10 years, the giant fishery's gotten, consistent. You can now go out with the expectations of possibly getting a bite, or, it's like where, we had a few summers, 10 years ago when there were a lot of little ones here, and, you'd spend all summer trying to catch a couple big ones, or now it's pretty consistent. So I'm going to say, at least in our area, the fishing's gotten better in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're lucky enough to talk to a lot of people in different areas, and
They're all seeing good results.
they're all seeing good results and good fishing.
You know, it's hopefully they just stick to their normal migration paths and migrate at the ages that they normally did, and then, you know, we'll know. But like, you know, again, we go through these spurts of a few years of small fish and no big fish. Water has a lot to do with it. I think a lot of people are familiar with the low oxygen saturation problems in certain parts of the world where it creates dead zones or areas where fish don't want to be, really. It doesn't mean everything dies in it, but we're starting to see those issues up here also. You know, it's comes from like pollution, algae, things like that cause low saturation of oxygen into the water and create these like pools. So, you know, hopefully things like that, they have an effect year to year, and, you know, you just hope you don't have that red tide or anything like that going on, or, you know, it's
controllable, but uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Yeah, all it takes is a few things like that to line up and everything changes.
Yeah. I mean, but it could be there's more bluefin tuna in the ocean than there ever was, and some stupid thing like that affects it and makes it so it doesn't happen or whatever, you know. So, but again, like I guess the question, I've lately have seen pretty consistent fishing, and, you know,
It's the best fishing I've ever experienced here.
yeah,
For
as
big
far as
ones.
giants,
For big ones.
it's been good. Just
It's been
gets
tough
better
for
and
us to
better.
consistently catch small fish. You know, we'll go through weeks at a time of small fish, but not like it was early 2000s where it was just like pods after pods of small fish.
Yeah, but when the big fish aren't biting, you end up going trolling and covering more water, and you end up catching more, and you find out where they are, and you know, same thing goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, you don't go out and catch big ones every day if you're not out there every day. You know, you need to know what's going on, where everything's been moving to. It's going north or going south, or,
East.
you know, every day. You know, the fishing, if they only swim an average of 5 miles an hour, they could be 50 miles away from where they were yesterday, 10 hours ago.
Have you ever, so another question we have you ever done the bucket trick or do you recommend any other good fishing pranks?
The bucket trick I've done a lot, especially people that like fall asleep in the chair and we're trolling, and we'll do that. I've had guys like, you tell them to look at the reel, don't look out, and I've had them reel the bucket literally right to the boat before they realize
That it's a bucket.
And then probably my other favorite one is popcorn surprise, especially when there's a lot of, like, if we're bass fishing and this guy's running around casting, and, you know, or the tuna fishing guys that run around casting at them, and we'll go somewhere where away from the fish, if we know where the fish are, and, you know, dump a couple bags of popcorn and get the seagulls going after the popcorn, and quickly leave that area and watch all the center console guys go steaming up and start casting and trying to catch popcorn.
We haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, it's been
One of the funniest
a while.
things ever was everybody was trolling at Race Point, and I'm looking in the water and I can see this braid line just like floating on top of the water. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's like going along. I just thought someone had lost all their line and was floating there. And I forget who the mate was. Might have been Bobby D. Reaches over with a gaff to grab it so it doesn't tangle with us. And he grabs it, and then he's like pulling on it, and he realizes it's on a boat that's way up in front of us. Like it's their trolling line. Like, I think they had just a hook on it. So we're freaking put a cleat on it, and I'd slow my boat down and pull on their line. Excuse me. Congested. Got COVID this week. We're pulling on the line, and they're seeing their rod like take off, and they got a fish, so they think they have a fish. The guy's in the fighting chair. It was a big sporty. He's in the fighting chair, and I kept backing up and slowing down, and speed up real quick, so he's reeling in dead line. And we're laughing our asses off. And then finally, Bobby takes a friggin' a pogey, dead pogey, and puts it on the hook. And when we got like close to the guy, so he throws that in the water, and the guy's like, "Ah," and he reels in. And as we're going by, he's got the pogey hanging from the fishing rod, and they're all like wondering, "What the hell?" Like you could hear them all. Like that was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
One time we were shad fishing, and like three of us had been standing there for a while and had this little spot. And this guy comes down kind of late, and he gets like right near us, takes his first cast and hooks one. So I yell, "Hey buddy, what color you got on there?" And he wouldn't answer me. So this went on like twice, and he wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't tell me what color he had on. Here he is coming in our little fishing pool and wouldn't friggin' say anything. So I waited for him to cast, and then I cast real quick. Went over his line, I snag his line, I reel it in, and I go, "Oh, you're using pink." And the guy looks at me, he's like, "Did you really just do that?" I was like, "Yeah, you ain't going to talk to me. I was fucking find out what color you're using, you know?" He ended up being pretty funny anyway. He thought that was hilarious.
It's a good icebreaker. One of my favorites / the best execution of it was when you pull up alongside to say hi to somebody on the water tuna fishing.
Oh, and then go.
And you go, "You're on, you're on, you're on," and getting all their necks to just snap.
Yeah. Connor did that to us so bad.
I did it to Connor
Oh,
from
no.
the roof.
We got Bob
Here in the
Cook
bay,
one day,
yeah.
really.
Yeah, we did Bob Cook wicked bad.
You know, his whole
I thought
crew,
his neck
like,
broke in half.
And sometimes you are on when you pull up to somebody.
Sometimes. Yeah, we had that happen with Alex this year.
what was the one time, when the kid cut his thumb off last year.
Yeah. Not off, but he cut his thumb
Whatever.
really bad. Yeah.
Real
Cut his
bad.
tendon.
They're backing up to us, and like they're grabbing the tip of the rod to fend off the boat, and all of a sudden the fish went on. So we went and caught the fish and dealt with the cut off thumb later.
We actually were backing down on the fish, and he pulled up to our bow, and Bill jumped on.
Bill jumped on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, it was, another thing I'd love to get on film.
Sucks, but it's badass.
Yeah. But he's all healed up now. He had, I think, one or two, at least one surgery. I think he might have had 2 surgeries fixing his thumb. Cut a tendon. He's basically had the fish tail wrapped, and he went to hold the gill plate open and jabbed the fish's membrane to bleed it. And put a serrated dexter actually it was a bubble blade, right between his 2 fingers.
Dude.
And cut his hand wide open. I mean, he had it wrapped up, and it was like, the tip of his finger was like black, purple.
So bad.
And I guess he was like a few hours from losing his finger. So, no bueno.
That sucks.
What's the worst injury you've had in the boat? Or had someone have in the boat?
We got a pretty good track record.
How about in the Coast Guard? Anybody get hurt?
Yeah.
Knock on something.
Yeah.
I don't think anything crazy. Last year we had a near miss with Bill. He stepped on the we were putting a fish in the boat, and he stepped on one of those orange handle meat hooks for sliding the fish around.
Oh, God.
And it went through his boot, and like he was like limping for a little while.
Yeah.
If it was any sharper, it would have went right through his foot.
Cut fingers and hooks stuck in people.
That guy that fell onto the gunnel and caught himself, and both of his pinkies were dislocated. He literally like pushed himself back up, and I don't know how. He must have landed like this, like missed the gunnel,
His
and
fingers
both
were
of his
backwards.
pinkies were like sideways, backwards, dislocated.
Holy shit.
And I think you just walked over and was just like, snap, snap. He's just like, ah.
Yeah, I
Put
think
him on
I did
ice.
help him get him back into place.
Galvin's fish hatch story is
Fish
brutal.
hatch slamming on his foot.
Yeah, barefoot, like one of the in deck holds with teak deck on top of it, shut on a guy's big toe. Oh, in a tournament. That was disgusting. That gave me the chills.
We had that kid that used to come up fishing from Rhode Island that stepped on the hook and went home with the hook still in his foot. Like,
Really?
was all proud of it all day. Had a big live bait tuna hook, like right through the side of his foot.
Oh yeah. That kid at the he was in the North River Marina, wasn't he? Wasn't it Max?
No, that was at Situate Harbor.
Someone got like a jobu through their foot.
This was like a
A squid bar hook bait. They went to like put it in the water, and as they were lifting, they literally stepped right on the hook bait, put a jobu right through the center of his foot. Sounds horrible.
We got one more question
Yep.
Okay.
from Henry and Paul. Is $20 truly $20?
Absolutely. I'll do anything for $20. $20 is $20.
That's hilarious. Bumper stickers.
Yeah.
Bumper stickers are another great prank.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to. We're
Paul
gonna have
put
to.
a bumper sticker on OG's truck while he was fishing for the day, and it said $20 is 20. It says
It said, I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
right.
And he drove around with it on the truck for a couple days.
Yeah. I don't know, get closer to P-Town and could be $10.
That's how long you've been out there for.
I still have never wondered what it'd be like to have a with a dick.
Dude.
On that note, let's end it on your 3 words of fishing wisdom.
My 3 words of fishing wisdom.
Yeah.
You can't catch them.
You can't catch them without a hook in the water.
Trust.
Trust your own instincts.
And the rest.
Stay the fuck away from me.
Stay tight, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in to the SeaBros Fishing Podcast. If you would like more information about today's guest, our episode, and show sponsors, or if you want to order hats and apparel, please visit our website at SeaBrosFishing.com. You can also stay up to date in all the latest SeaBros Fishing content and podcast episodes by following us on Instagram at SeaBrosFishing. Finally, to book a trip with us through our family-run charter fishing company, please visit massbayguides.com or see our latest updates and fishing reports by following Mass Bay Guides on Instagram and Facebook.